All right, so this is a quick rehash of all the changes that went through yesterday. We had quite a fair bit of community testing, had about 10 players running at one point in time, had a bunch of feedback coming through, tried to make a bunch of code changes on the fly, probably rebuilt the game about 10 times yesterday in the web browser, done a quick UI rehash just to make it look a little bit more modern. This is not how it's going to stand, it's just quickly putting in some font, making it look more presentable than the default screen that was there before. So let's go through and take a look at some of the changes. Once again, this is all going to change. We've got auto joining now. So rather than having to know the join name and share a room name, rather than having to share it all the time, we can just simply click auto join match. We've also changed the font in the game on the leaderboard. I've also made a change that when you start the game, you tell everyone what your score is, being 0. Previously, scores were not being shared until you joined the game, until you collected a point. So if I have 2 players, I'll get a second one loading while I'm jumping through here. I've also made it that you grow slower. I might tweak this a little bit more. It's now going to be based on, if you collect a droplet, it essentially gives you a cubic centimeter of size. Previously, if you say we're worth 10 points and then became 20 points, you would double in width. So you would go from, say, 10 centimeters wide to 20 centimeters wide if you went from 10 points to 20 points. Now it's based on cubic centimeters. So the amount of volume you get, 400 points. If a player is 300 points, when they go to, say, double the size, they should, perhaps be that. It's essentially the surface area increase, not width increase, if that makes sense. But essentially it's slowing down your growth. I will tweak this a little bit. I'm just trying to make sure that the game doesn't end in 30 seconds because people just, become bigger than the planet. We just sort of, had it expedited earlier for testing. Okay, I've got a second player that can join. I'm just going to quickly put in the name Chris and click auto join, and they should appear with 0 points and start sending through stats. Cool. Okay, so what else have we done? So player growing is now smooth. Previously, as you consumed points, you would just go, it would be a very jagged increase, rough in size. Now it's using something called lerping, where it says, hey, my size is now 20 cubic centimeters and it needs to now be 30 because we've collected 10 points. It will go, it will say, I want to go from 20 points to 30 points in size over a 2-second period. So it slowly grows now, keeps it nice and smooth. As you can see, we've also added player names. That was a quick request yesterday that we did in the stream. That took about 10 minutes. I was surprised that was quite easy to do. What else have we managed to chuck in? You progressively get slower as you collect more points, just to make sure that you can't just zoom around the whole Earth as a big Fractal consuming everyone. Mike from Fractal team also suggested that perhaps when you consume people, you can lose points and get smaller. We tried that, but then it meant you were less inclined to consume people, whereas I want to keep it, you want to keep going after all the players. And when I say that, I'm open to trying again. I'm all about playtesting, so we can bring that back in quite easily. It's just flipping it around. When we consume people, it damages us, rather than when we consume people, it increases our size. That's really easy. We can play around with that. And might even, Anyway, what else? We're also considering, if we do keep growing, when we consume other players, perhaps we can implement some other mechanisms to allow you to take down a bigger player. So that's where we're going to have like a bunch of community ideas, and I'll keep trying to put them in and see which works the best. Do we pick up a power up that lets you shoot some sort of a splitting bullet at an opponent when they're shot by that bullet? Do they split in two? So if they're a 500 point fractal, do they get split into, say, 2 or 3? So 2 250 point fractals or 3 133 point fractals. So as they're walking around, they're now a little army of fractals. And if you're, say, 200 points, you can consume one of their smaller fractals, and then you'll be 300 points, then you consume their other one. Like, you might be able to consume them one after the other because the opponent's now been made smaller. What else have we got? That's pretty much it that we managed to achieve yesterday. I feel like it was a pretty good productive day, and it's time to now, look ahead. I am running a Python script to download all 100,000 attributes at the moment. Probably look into changing the loading screen UI again, improve it a little bit, give you the ability to choose your fractal. Won't be connected to the wallet, I don't believe, for the MVP, but at least let you to choose, are you going to be a quad, tri, penta, or hexa? And oh yeah, I also need to work on the planet. So get an actual high resolution version of the Earth from Google Maps and wrap it around a sphere. But I'm not ready for that project just yet. I want to keep making some minor changes to the game, tweak the gameplay. Oh, and the website's up and running, so in theory, people could play it at any point in time now. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, we'll see you in the next update.